So I've been doing a bit of thinking recently, which is a strange occurrence in my life, but sometimes, the grey matter has to be activated. About this ethics code, this whole code, well, what is the ethics code? Well, presumably it would be some kind of document or guideline or something on how to protect state assets from politicians, etc. Now, why should it be? I mean, obviously, politicians and high players, big players, they've got access to information, privy to information, opportunities, contacts, hustles, whatever you would like to call it, which could often result in lucrative benefit. So they got contacts with through the state, through the whole government and all the government contacts and suppliers, and now they're people of power, they're signing the big things and allowing, hey, let's go and build a new shopping centre in XYZ. And George Sims comes with a shopping centre, and he's a hustle, and his brother's cousin's third mother knows a bit about building or knows a builder, and so she starts a company, boom, 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 boom. And before you know it, cousin over there has got a mansion in Camps Bay. And so the ethics code was basically to prevent that from happening because, well, I mean, we'd never had precedent before. It's never happened in our country. Thank God, ethics in this place have been really, really high. But in some barbaric banana republics, this could be a very real threat. So they put these ethics code in place. But South Africa, I think we got it right because we did it the correct way. What we did is first let all the politicians do all the shit, get the cousins after so they all got rich, but through this whole creating these dynasties all over. And then what they did is they wrote the ethics code in a way that they could tap dance around these things. So, no, well, if you've got a sibling or a child, but they're not dependent on you because they're fucking millionaires from previous. Anyway, then what we can do is we can just sort of, no, that's okay. If they're dependent on you, in other words, if your child is screaming and crying for mother and hungry and starving and hasn't got a roof, then of course they can. Then it's a problem, which makes no sense. I mean, for fuck's sakes. Surely you'd rather turn around and help the dependent. Anyway, I mean, that's another complication. But so here we've got this ethics code which has been tap dancing around and defeating the entire purpose of what it was prepared for, is to protect assets of the state and organizations and instruments of state against pillage, plunder, and abuse. Failed. So we look at this and we say, what is this? Is this democracy? Well, let's talk about democracy. I mean, in Chile, down south of South America, about 9 years ago, they decided to put this national convention together. Really great idea. The country's a bit fucked up. So they're going to put this thing together where it was going to have gender parity, equal men and women, boom. And they were going to just save the world, save climate change and all the focus of the great. I like climate change, getting there later. So they put this thing together, and how did it fare? A total fuck up. All over the place. Hasn't passed one law, one thing. All they wanted to do is change the flag and change the national anthem and this kind of stuff. We've got nothing right, actually. They never got even that signed off. So this whole idea of making gender parity or whatever, creating this democratic society where everyone has a word in decisions. Man, have you lived in a family where there's 3, 4, or 5 of you? Are you all going to come up with the same decisions until one of the people, normally dad or mom, turns around and says, cut the cuck, this is how we're doing it. And that's how you do it. Going to a sports club, same thing. Situation, we've got the coaches, we've got the managers, boom, we choose the right people, put them, someone gives cuck, get someone else in that can do the job better, and the focus is getting the score because the score turns into money. Is that any different to the state? Hey? Are we all equipped to turn around and decide who should rule us? Is this whole system of democracy actually democratic? How? So we won't elect 3 of parties. Who's read the manifesto? We just know we like the colour, we like this, or we like where they hang out and they give T-shirts or they don't give T-shirts. They're the right race or they're not the right race. Who gives a fuck? Right religion? Man, that is so crazy. Could you imagine taking 50,000 people, putting them into a soccer city and letting them vote for the soccer team that would represent the country? Would that be the best team? No, of course not. You find clubs, and clubs have got managers and coaches, and they select and they push them and get them until we got the best coaches, the best team of people to select a team, and they know all the players. And they choose the best team according to their knowledge. And we don't do that. Eh? We just say, boom, vote because this guy comes up. And then we get this whole ethics code come up, which is a parody of the law. The whole of COVID was a parody of both health and law because the shift focus, people are I want to get sick, I want to get better, I want to get vax down, vax. And it turned into a money-making racket and a power-grabbing matter, which now the National Health Act is turning around and trying to adopt the principles of the disaster and make that mainstream, make that, hey, that's part of the law, guys. This is what you've got no rights anymore. And this whole vax story, I was turning on. Do we understand that has created a database for people? They have got all your information, and if they call you, you actually want to call them. Everyone, where do you think this information is sitting? Just idly database? Do you know that in America, the United States, during the end of Bush time or something, when they started pushing in their surveillance, it was in the bush, that they started recording every single conversation that went into America. Every single, and most networks went through America somewhere, their international calls. Every single one was recorded. That means your voice is somewhere sitting in a database there, and they would turn around, come later, and have a look at this and draw a profile of who you are. And that's why you get the ads and stuff you do. And you get the programming you suggested because they've got profile. Those programs, those ads and those programs, are they an exact fit of who you actually are? Or is it a good assumption? But now they can turn around and we make these assumptions of who the good guys are and who's playing right. And basically, if it's legal and law, it can't be wrong. If it's church, it can't be wrong. And people that speak out are shit stirrers, crazy, fringe elements, whatever. Who cares? Look at the world. Look at the world around you and think to yourself, is your world and your country and your environment cool? Is it? In the world, is it cool? Well, poverty is cool, malnutrition is cool, lack of education, knowledge, warlords. It's a fucking joke, man. Even the religious guys, the guys that are playing one love, are all mooring each other. Look at Israel at the moment. I mean, look at this whole situation. That thing started literally with Abraham. That's where this whole thing started. And then, of course, Muhammad came along and created Islam for 1,000 years. There are two religions, but the essence of the religion should be the worshipping of God and creation. I don't think it is. I think within the frame of the religion, but we are looking at these religions through the lens of either the media or the church, and not objective, sensible, well-balanced perspectives. We need to look at our lives. We need to look around at the world, and not going fucking we want or whatever. It's not. It's looking and say, hey, hold it. What are the instruments here that are used to actually sort this stuff out, and how they're being used? Are they being used effectively? And are we heading for a better place? And how? What's the plan? Just media headlines? Denials? Are we building up a culture of morality, honor, and dignity? This is what I think about with these guys that have taken the money. They were the stalwarts of the ANC. They were the ones that pushed through the change of the country. And they fought for liberation and democracy. But were they fighting, if we're looking at their actions now, taking this money and pillaging the pot and actually destroying it, and now almost abandoned? You look at the roads and you look at infrastructure, look at this flood. Have they actually given up? Have they, no, we can't do this. And think that they've sucked as much as they possibly can, and now they're setting up for, I don't know what. another Zuma. Well, Zuma set the precedent, didn't he? That person could do this and just fight the law forever, get away with it. And it's actually not only get away with it, but it becomes accepted that the person is almost a martyr. And this is what's happening with all these guys, because they say they represented this, and their rhetoric and their speeches are all pushing the right buttons, but the substance, the actions of their words are devious. And I think this is what we accept, and we've got to start changing our minds. Who do we follow? Why do we follow? Who is authorized? Who has the intelligence to actually select and find the right people? Obviously, starting in community leaders around, going to a leader, and obviously a hierarchical system of identifying who should play, not just whoever jumps on the soapbox. Yeah, it's complicated. Life is complicated. I think we've got to have fun. Life's got to be a chore. But for fuck's sakes, how do you have a chore when everything is closing around us, and we're just sitting looking around? Anyway. Have a long weekend. Have a lovely Easter. I should have spoken about Easter. Hey, Bunny. Here we go. Easter bunny. Have a lovely Easter. Have a good one. Ciao.